Good morning, everybody. This is Dan Spots on behalf of the Dallas Area Chamber. Welcome to Chamber Community Affairs. Today is Thursday, June 11th. The summer solstice is fast approaching. I hope everybody's doing well. Our guests this morning are Cyndi Gentry and Jennifer Sulcer from Northern Wasco County People's Utility District. And welcome, Cyndi and Jennifer. We're going to turn the program over to them in just a little bit here, but first let's go around the table and talk about organizational updates. Glad everybody can attend this morning. I'm going to start my upper left-hand corner with Trish Neil, and then I will turn it over to Roger. Trish, take it away.
Thanks. Good morning. Trish Neil with LegalShield, and I'll put my information in the chat and remind everybody that the Regional Wasco County Courthouse has got an event coming up on June 25th.
Great. And anybody, please feel free to put events and contact information in the chat box. Thank you, Trish. I see that there now. Roger, and then we'll go to Bill Lennox. Roger?
All right, thank you. Regional Wasco County Courthouse, thank you, Trish, for mentioning it, also has 165 recorded audio programs that are available for purchase for a minimum amount of money and a maximum amount of enjoyment. So you can stop by it's open from 10 to 3, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and the list is available online. In fact, we just had Community CCC just published that, so you can check online and look at all the list of things and see which of these classic recordings you would like to own. Very minimal cost. Also, I shameless publicity, put in my information about my side hustle. My coin evaluation business is in there. So thank you much.
And coins and currency are going to be coming up a little bit later on this program. In July, I believe.
July 2nd.
Thank you, Roger. Bill Lennox and then Scott McKay. Bill?
Good morning, everyone. That's great. It seems like we always have a whole bunch of coins sitting around somewhere that we'd love to think and imagine that they're worth a fortune, right? I'm Bill Lennox. I'm representing Wasco County for the North Central Public Health District. And I don't have any current updates, but thanks.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Scott, and then Lee Weinstein. Scott McKay, that is.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Scott McKay, a volunteer for the Circles of Care and a convener for the Wasco County Dementia-Friendly Wasco County Partnership. And busy, but don't know why. So thank you.
It just seems to be busy. I know. Lee Weinstein and then Councilor Randall.
Lee Weinstein. I'm president of the Q-Life board. I'm on the board of Oregon Public Broadcasting, and I write for the Oregon Encyclopedia, which, if you've not looked at, it's online, sponsored by the Oregon Historical Society, and the great Dan Spatz has written an entry there as well.
Did that get published, Lee? Cool.
I don't know. So they take a while to get published, but you might tickle them if it's not up yet, and just see how they do. They have to go through a whole editorial review process to make sure it's perfect, and they are meticulous about facts. I just wrote something about Myron Frank. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you. Councilor Randall, and then we'll go to Eileen White. Councilor?
Thanks, Dan. Good morning, everyone. Scott Randall with the Dallas City Council. This past Monday, we just gave final approval to the 2026-2027 annual budget, and we'll begin executing that starting July 1st. And then upcoming business, the focus is going to be on developing our wastewater master plan. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. Eileen, and then Corliss Marsh. Eileen? Oh, Eileen, you were muted. Yep, still muted. There you go.
Sorry, I unmuted myself, then muted myself. Eileen White, Dallas City Farmers Market in City Parks, 9 to One, and want to thank one of our sponsors, Northern Wasco PUD. We had a great first day on Saturday, opening day. We had over 1,300 shoppers and more booths than we had ever had. We now take up all of the north end of the park.
That is great to see that expand, continuing to grow. Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you.
Corliss, and then we'll go to Heather Land. Corliss?
Good morning, everyone. Corliss Marsh here with Habitat for Humanity, the Senior Center, and the library. And don't forget, Fridays at noon, bring your brown bag lunch and concert on the deck. So we'll see you there.
Thank you, Corliss. Heather, and then Jake Anderson.
Good morning. Heather Land with Wasco Electric, communication specialist, and I don't have any updates this week. Thank you.
Thank you for joining, Heather. Jake, and then we'll go to Liz.
Jacob Anderson, City of the Dalles Economic Development Officer. I will be speaking to the Kiwanis today at noon on economic development as well as the Hood River White Salmon Bridge, if anybody wants to go.
Ah, good. Thank you, Jake. Liz, and then Rob Garrett.
Hi, good morning. My name is Liz Lance. I'm the Executive Director of the Q Life Network, which is Quality Life Intergovernmental Agency. And in the next few months, you might hear some things abuzz from us. We are your friendly local fiber broadband provider in the Dalles.
Liz, have we done an update on community affairs on the Q Life Network recently?
Not recently.
I think we need to rectify that.
Sounds great.
Let's catch up, and we'll get you on the schedule. Thank you, Liz.
Perfect. Thanks, Dan.
Mr. Rob Garrett.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, Mid-Columbia Senior Center Executive Director here. I made it in. I'm doing pretty good today, huh? We're on a roll. There's always lots going on at the Senior Center, but I don't want to use the whole show. So we'll just talk about the parking lot sale we have coming on July 11th. It's going to be in the parking lot and inside the building. So if you'd like a booth or you know someone who would, there's plenty of booths still available, mostly outside because the inside's pretty full. Also, we have at the same time Cherry City Bazaar in the basement, and they're here this Saturday as well. They're here once a month, so we're going to coordinate with them. So a busy month in July coming in. Of course, this is our 40th anniversary in the Dalles. 1986, we opened our doors, so happy birthday to the Senior Center. Anyway, that's all I have now. Thank you for having me.
40th anniversary, which reminds me of another hat I'll wear, and that's One Community Health. We are also celebrating our 40th anniversary and starting a new foundation. We'll be doing an update on that one, we being One Community Health, a little bit later on this program, later this season. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everyone. I don't believe I've missed anybody. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Cyndi and to Jennifer. Cyndi?
Yes.
Take it away.
Okay. Can everybody see that slide?
Not yet.
Come on.
We tested it earlier.
We just tested it. It worked, honest.
Yep. It's coming in
there we
now.
Go. There we go. I just needed an extra button, all those extra clicks.
There you go. We see it.
Fantastic. Thank you for having us. We would just like to share a little bit of what Northern Wasco County PUD has been up to. We are your local customer-owned, not-for-profit utility. We serve the Dalles, Dufur, Tye Valley, and Wamak. I tend to joke about we serve the urban areas of our rural county, and Wasco Electric tends to serve a lot of the more rural areas. There are also areas in Wasco County that are served by Pacific Power. I am actually served by Pacific Power, and I would much rather be served by Northern Wasco County PUD. I've been with the district for about 10 years. Jennifer, who will be joining me during this presentation, has about 9 months. Jennifer, is that correct?
Yeah, that's about right.
That's about right. But in the decade that I have been here, I started about 2 months after Roger came on as the general manager after Dwight retired. We have had amazing growth, which is very unusual. Yes, a large portion of that is due to the data centers, but there has also been a lot of other growth, residential small business. Full transparency, our staff, our headcount has doubled in 10 years, and our revenue has doubled 4 times in that 10 years, which is why we've had to increase the staff. Our board of directors are elected locally. Every single one of our directors has taken a significant number of classes and study hours and become Director Gold certified through the National Rural Electric Cooperative Association. That is a national organization. It's a co-op of co-ops, although they do have PUD members. We are the only PUD out of 6 in Oregon who can claim Director Gold distinction for our directors. Recently, we rolled out last year, our brand new 10-year strategic plan. We updated our mission to be the leader in delivering reliable, affordable utility services, guided by and accountable to the communities we serve. We never forget who we are here for. We updated our core values and our strategic initiatives, basically creating the roadmap for our next decade, which we will talk about some of what's coming in the next decade very, very soon. In fact, last night to all employees, we announced a new organizational structure. We have 3 members of leadership retiring this year, and we have spent the last 2 to 3 months planning what we are going to look like when our head of customer solutions, our head of power purchasing, and our executive director all retire this year.
Oh.
Thank you, Liz, for bringing up IGAs. We are part of the QLife IGA. Very proud and very happy to be part of that and working with everyone to serve the community in yet another way. We are also, for those that don't know, we do have an IGA with the Dalles Irrigation District. They actually have power infrastructure separate from ours that helps power the irrigation. And we actually have an IGA, an agreement with them to help maintain some of that infrastructure. We also have an economic development program. It is the board's economic development program. We rolled out a new process, new program, same intent, different process in 2025. In 25, recipients were the Hope Academy, the Dalles Mural Fest. Can somebody tell me what TVRFPG means? And then in 26 this year, we had 4 new recipients. This is a program that is near and dear to the board's heart. We wanted to simplify. The board wanted to get out of the direct management. And so the new program, it is run by the GM under the direction of the board. We have simplified the application process. There's no longer presentation. Those got a little bit long and a little bit intense, both for the people that were applying and for the board. And so we've simplified that. There's a application on our website every year, and the process seems to be going very, very well.
Cyndi, I see we have a question from Roger.
Yes, Roger.
Thank you. That's Tye Valley Rural Fire Protection Department, I do believe.
Thank you. That sounds about right.
And I do want to thank you because a few years ago you let a grant for the original Wasco County Courthouse that helped us a great deal. So,
Yes.
by the way, thank you personally for taking me on as a writer many, many years ago.
Yes, we've enjoyed that. Roger for those that don't know, Roger used to write both of our articles, the what I think of as the local interest article, and then one article about the PUD for each ruralite issue. More recently, we hired our own communications specialist. She writes the PUD article. And Roger, you continue to write the community interest articles. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. And I just want to publicize the most recent one. This is the inestimable Eileen White, which doesn't show up right here on mine, but it's just the cover of the latest issue of the Ruralite. So
yes,
thank you much.
We mail those out. We also have them available electronically. We probably will have a campaign soon to encourage people to sign up for only electronic delivery. One of our expenses, when compared to the cost of what we spend every year purchasing power, it's nothing. But when you look at all of our controllable costs, postage goes up every single year, as I'm sure you know. So the more customers we can get signed up for electronic delivery of bills, electronic delivery of the rural light, that helps us manage those costs for our customers. I've also noticed, I don't know if more people are actually reading it or if more people are now starting to comment, but we are getting comments through email submitted through our website about the articles that we're publishing about what is going on in the utility industry, and whether the opinions match those of leadership at the district or not. We love the fact that we get that input. Those conversations are very, very important to us.
Cyndi,
yes.
I do hope you continue with the printed version. I know it's a cost.
We will.
Item. I'm over here in Clickitat County, and
yes.
your counterpart dropped it. We miss it. We miss the print.
Oh.
We
have employees in Clickitat County, and all employees get a copy of it too. It was actually, we had been considering it, and one of our employees who lives in Goldendale came to us and said, you know what, my Clickitat PUD, I get this electronically. How come we're not doing that? And then we started really digging in and rolled it out as an option.
Option's good. Thank you, Cyndi.
Yes. What do we have here? There we go. The board scholarship program. This is a newer program. It started in 2024. We changed to a similar process to the economic development process through the website in 2025. The board was adamant they wanted to make a difference, and that is why they decided $10,000 per recipient, 3 recipients a year, total of $30,000 per year. Since we started this program, the board has contributed $90,000 to call our students, our local students, for whether that be for college or trade school. We had 2 winners at the Dallas High School this year and 1 at Dufur. I find this heartwarming. I think it's a fun fact. Jonathan Rodriguez Mota of the Dallas High School, it turns out his brother won our very first year. He was one of the recipients. And we didn't know that until his parents walked up to us after the award ceremony at the high school.
What a wonderful program.
Data centers. Jennifer, this is where you get to jump in.
Everyone's favorite topic. Again, I'm Jennifer Sulcer. I serve as Northern Wasco County PUD's Legislative Affairs Advisor. And so I'll talk a little bit about sort of the policy side here in a minute, but wanted to discuss data centers as they are getting a lot of attention right now, both here in the Dalles and of course across the country. And our PUD has actually been serving data centers or data center customers since around 2005, 2006. So we have more than 20 years of experience serving these large load type of customers. And I think Cyndi will talk about this later. While we do that, we also have, we maintain some of the lowest electric rates in Oregon, the Northwest, and actually across the nation. And we know that data centers are easy to criticize because they sound abstract. It's this thing over there in the cloud. But if you have photos backed up on your phone, that's a data center. If you stream your favorite movie on Netflix, that's a data center. If you use AI to write that email that you haven't written in like 3 days, that's a data center. So the cloud is real, and data centers are part of that. And the question we usually grapple with is, are data centers good or bad? And that's not how we look at it. It's how do we make sure they are served responsibly, pay their own way, and that the PUD doesn't shift those costs onto existing customers. And I will do a quick little plug, kind of side tangent. So our CEO, Roger Klein, and our new chief engineer or energy resource officer, Humaira Falkenberg, they actually recently presented at the Oregon Data Center Advisory Committee maybe 2 Fridays ago. If you haven't heard about this advisory committee, it's a committee that was created by the governor to basically bring in experts to talk about a variety of issues. Each month they have a different topic. And so this last month or in May, it was about energy use. And so Roger and Humaira were able to present. You can see the YouTube videos online. But we had the opportunity to talk more about how we protect our customers. You know, and Cyndi mentioned this in the beginning, but our first priority is always the community and our customers and how to keep our rates affordable and keep our electricity reliable. As Cyndi mentioned, our rates are set by our locally elected board of directors, and they live here in the community. And that matters because those decisions about large loads are made here, not over there in Salem or Portland. And so accountability is really important to us. And I'll probably say this multiple times, but our approach is that our large load customers pay the true costs of what it is what the cost is to serve them. So that means our residential customers and our businesses do not subsidize the data centers. Your rates are not, the customers' rates, the community rates are not impacted by the data centers. It's completely separate. We run detailed engineering studies, cost studies, reliability evaluations. And if new infrastructure is needed for that particular customers, those costs are covered directly from that customer through dedicated contracts. So those costs, again, do not just quietly get spread across everyone's bill. They pay for any infrastructure needs, any transmission needs, anything that they need to serve them, and they pay their own rate as well. So if your rates are increasing, you'll often hear the narrative that my electric rates are increasing, it's because of the data centers. Here at Northern Wasco County PUD, that is not the case at all. It's completely separate. And I'll talk a little bit about why you might be seeing your rates rise in a little bit. But in addition to sort of how we serve our large load customers, we do want to talk about the benefits, because that's the other side of the ledger. Google has been in the Dalles since 2005, 2006, and they've actually become a major part of the local economy. And I think you can go onto the City of the Dalles web page or website. They have a site dedicated to sort of the projects that Google has contributed here. But some of them that they highlight are the Columbia Gorge Community College's Skills Center and campus housing. Google has contributed to city water infrastructure, including like a system development, charges, water rights transferred to the cities, new wells, new reservoirs, big project that you can read all about. And the point is that without that revenue, then the needs of the community don't just disappear. The community will still need, schools and fire infrastructure and water and sewer improvements. But they would be probably paid through, if they weren't deferred or delayed, those projects would be paid, or funded with debt or local taxes, fees, or rates. And again, don't take my word for it. The City of the Dalles has a public Google Data Center section on their webpage, and you can read all about the sort of the funds and revenue coming from Google and how that's used in the community. And
Jennifer, if I could insert here really
please.
quick too, we also have a page.
Oh, yes.
I mean, technically, it's kind of just dedicated to Google because they're our largest load, but it's really we have a page on our website about how we serve large loads that talks more, if you're interested, about if a large load comes to town, wants to build here, wants to do business here. Our website explains some of the process that we go through to make sure that it is not to the detriment of our other customers.
Cyndi, I've got a question on load capacity, and it's kind of it's probably not going to be too easy to answer in some ways because it's apples and oranges in a way, but going back 26 years now, we had Northwest Aluminum, which was a large load customer. I don't, honestly, out of complete ignorance, I don't know if they went through the PUD or went probably directly to BPA. But in terms of capacity, generating capacity overall, we have the dam, and since 2000 or even earlier than that, we've added a lot of wind and solar. but can you give an idea of the availability of overall capacity being used by the data center versus what Northwest Aluminum would have been using? Big aluminum smelter in the Dalles.
I don't have that data. It might be really interesting. And I'm glad you asked this too, because I recently had a conversation with Roger about how I struggle with, how do I want to say this, with the data centers being the villain in this story. It's, for example, if you look at PGE, if you look at Pacific Power, how their data centers impacted their other customers had nothing to do with the data center's decision making. That was all PGE and Pacific Power.
Yeah.
What we call the IOUs, the investor-owned utilities. You may have seen in the news recently. I find it very interesting that PGE has submitted to the Utility Commission with the state of Oregon a 23 or 29% rate increase for their data center customers, thanks to the recent law passed in Oregon about, the residential customers can no longer subsidize the data centers. What I find really interesting in that article is a 20-some% increase in the rates for the data centers, and yet only a 1.2 or 1.3% reduction for the residential customers. And that does not math for me.
That doesn't match for a lot of people, I think.
Because when I asked Roger, I said, so if Ford wanted to come to Oregon and build 6 manufacturing plants, nobody would be complaining. The data centers, as Jennifer mentioned, make a really easy villain because they're out there. They're locked down for security. There are just so many reasons. And I think that this is a much more complex issue than I think than the conversations would indicate.
The distinction between IOUs, investor-owned utilities, and public utilities is a very, very significant one. And
yes, we answer to the customers; they answer to the investors.
Yeah. All right, I don't mean to derail things here. Proceed,
no, it's
please.
A good question.
Yeah, Dan, I wrote your question down. If we can find an answer, we'll get back to you on that one. And I think it's a great question, and probably something a lot of folks have is, how did this compare to the aluminum plant? And so to build off of what Cyndi just said, I think our ask to the community is simple. Stay engaged and help keep this conversation about data centers grounded in facts. They do raise fair questions, and those questions deserve real answers, not assumptions or headlines. So if you hear concerns in the community, we would encourage people to ask questions and look for good information. As Cyndi mentioned, we have information on our website about who we are, why our region attracts data centers, and how we protect our customers. And so we can drop, the actual link to that data center sort of frequently asked question page in the chat. But we just want people to understand that the process, we want them to understand the process, because it's not just about one project or one company. It is about how we grow responsibly as a community. All right, Cyndi, next slide. Okay, so the fun stuff where you're all probably going to go run and grab a cup of coffee is the policy and legislative side of the house. So as Cyndi had mentioned, I've only been here about 9 months. This role as the Legislative Affairs Advisor is a newer role for the PUD. And the reason it exists is pretty straightforward. Decisions made in Salem and in Washington, D.C., and generally across the region, and that involves energy, is increasingly starting to affect local reliability and costs and long-term economic health of the community. And so energy policy is not something that just sort of happens far away and stays far away like we would like it to. It does show up in rates. It shows up in transmission access. It shows up in wildfire policy, large load growth, like we talked about, hydropower litigation, which I'll talk about a little bit here. So my job is to actually help the PUD track those issues early, again, both in DC and Washington, DC, a little bit in Olympia as well, because there is some crossover there. But, to try to stay in front of those issues, explain how they could affect our customers, and actually make sure that our community's voice is part of that conversations before the decisions are already made or it gets really expensive. And so when energy costs go up, people feel it. And a lot of that can be a result of some of the policy decisions that are being made. And so one of the biggest regional issues we are tracking is the Lower Snake River dams and the Columbia River Dam litigation. And before I sort of talk about that, I want to explain why does this matter? Like, why do we care about the dams here in northern Wasco County? And it's because the PUD actually receives a portion of its power supply through the Bonneville Power Administration. BPA markets power from the federal hydropower system, so including the dams on the Columbia and Snake Rivers, and they sell that power to public utilities like us. So when something affects BPA's power supply or BPA's costs, it will eventually affect utilities like ours. So this is why the Lower Snake River and the Columbia River Dam litigation matters locally. I know it sounds like a federal issue or probably a fish issue or a dam issue. But for us, it's also a power supply reliability and customer cost issue. So recently, when the court ordered that operations require more water to be spilled over the dams for fish passage, that water is not going through the turbines. And so if the water is not going through the turbines, it's not generating electricity. So that means BPA may have to, likely will have less low cost power to sell to us, which in time will then cause the rates to go up, which then causes your bill to go up in the end. So again, I'll go back to what I had said a few minutes ago. Northern Wasco County PUD customers are not seeing rate increases because of data centers. I think they'll likely see a rate increase, in the near future as a result of the litigation that's going on in the courtroom right now, because BPA is requiring to spill more water through the dam for fish.
And if I could I want to make this very, very clear. There is a cap on how much of that it's called preference power. We are a preference customer of Bonneville. There is a cap on how much of that we can purchase because there are other preference customers and the pie is only so big. That preference power goes to everyone except Google first. If there's anything left over, then we can sell that. Then we sell that to Google. But most of Google's power comes from non-federal resources. We go out to the market and we purchase that for them, and then they purchase it from us. So I don't know how to say that any more clearly. That is why the data centers do not impact your bill or Roger your bill, because you get the preference power and Google doesn't get any unless there's anything left over. Yes, Roger.
Yeah, so that leads me to another question is there still capacity for you to get preference power? Is it all allocated out among all the PUDs so far, or is there more available?
No, let me see if I understand the question correctly. And first, let me clarify too, it's not just PUDs, it's public power. So the co-ops, Wasco Electric is a co-op, they also get preference power. And so it's those COUs. It's again, one of those differences between COUs and IOUs. Bonneville cannot generate more power with what they have right now. So every time a power generating resource gets closed, we lose power, we lose capacity. Anytime a way to generate a generation resource new build gets denied, then that is new generating resources that we don't have. And there are pros and cons to solar. There are pros and cons to wind. I think some of the others you may or may not know in Central Oregon, they are building a geothermal generating plant. But the short version is no, Bonneville has no, as it sits right now, there is no additional power for us to purchase under those preference contracts, which is why the data that we submit, the data that all COUs submit to Bonneville, when Bonneville's slicing up that pie, it matters.
Okay, as a follow-up, quick follow-up, if they build the pump storage project as a new generation facility to offset the wind and solar, would that help?
Well, it depends on who you mean when you say they. The one across the river at Klickitat does not belong to Bonneville.
Ah.
Yeah.
So Cyndi, I recall an old acronym, direct service industry. So I think Northwest Aluminum was a DSI to Bonneville rather than through the PUD.
Yes.
But a question on storage capacity. Is it not the case that most of the dams we're looking at, including the Dalles, are run of the river, or almost? They don't have that much energy storage capacity, and Grand Coulee being the exception.
Well, you're saying storage capacity as
energy
opposed to
storage. If you got
capacity?
excess from solar and wind, where do you put it?
Okay. And that's a big part of the conversation is when people talk about solar, they also talk about storage, which means batteries. Where do the batteries go? What are the batteries made of? That's a part of the conversation that doesn't come up very often. The costs, the resource cost of building the batteries are significant, and those don't generally come into the conversation. When you talk about the mining, the electric to manufacture, I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying that there are many more facts to the conversation that don't come out. When you talk about storage from hydropower, technically the storage is the reservoir. You're not storing the power. You are trying to store the ability to generate power, which is different from the batteries. Another piece that doesn't often come into the conversation is a lot of the original solar and the original wind power. Those are reaching end of life if they have not already. And now the question that everybody is running into is, what do we do with those fiberglass blades, or the mined minerals and metals that went into making the solar panels or the solar systems? So yeah, when you talk about storage, unless it's a pump storage, which that's similar, it's a similar concept to the reservoirs behind the dams.
Let's continue the conversation. We don't want to get too technical here, but
yeah,
I think Roger and I have been
I'm always
following this
happy
issue
to
for a
have
long
coffee
time.
and talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, those are great questions. And I think Cyndi added some really great context there about sort of our BPA power and how it gets allocated. And so I'll just sort of finish up just some other sort of state level issues that we're tracking. So budget shortfalls. There's been a lot of conversation about Oregon's budget and not having enough revenue come in. That matters because that can actually, depending on what the legislature does, in the next session, that they might want to increase new fees or taxes or shift costs and some of those might come down to us, utilities. Wildfire liability is another one we track, mainly because, the West, of course, is facing a lot of risk, a lot of I think it might be a high fire year this year. Everyone's talking about it, but that also will include higher insurance pressure and more scrutiny around vegetation management and emergency response and system hardening. So anything involving wildfire, sort of cost recovery, liability policy in Salem could also ultimately impact us. Cap and trade is a thing that's been talked about at the legislature for a few years now, or carbon pricing. Those matter because however that sort of policy or legislation sort of gets hammered out, that can affect power costs, ultimately affect fuel costs and other costs of doing business. And so, the bottom line is that my role is to try to stay ahead of these issues, specifically for the PUD. But because some of these issues will affect our customers and our community, and we're trying to be at the table as early as we can, be able to explain the local impact clearly. So we do ask legislators both in Salem and in Washington, D.C., please call us if you are working on a bill or you're working on a project or, an initiative, executive order. please call us, and so that we can actually communicate what the impact might be to our customers and to our community. And in this role, that's a large part of my responsibility, is to make those relationships and to sort of get them to use us as a resource. So again, our ask to you guys, to the community, is just stay engaged with us. When policy issues come up that you think affect like businesses or the community, we want to hear from you. Your perspective does help us sort of build a stronger story and, be able to give real world examples when we get those calls. And that is
I
it.
can share.
Yeah,
I can share too that it is working. Jennifer, it was February, went to DC with a group of COUs. They all gave their pitches to the legislators, and Jennifer came back to the office. And Jennifer, who was it that called you?
Oh goodness.
It wasn't even one of. It was in Oregon, but it wasn't one of ours. It was one of our other representatives.
Of course. It's too early in the morning. I haven't thought.
Jennifer, we've all been there. Don't worry about it.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Anyway,
Yes.
I believe it was a legislator from over in the metro area actually called Jennifer with questions about data centers.
Right. And we actually just got a call earlier this week. Somebody from Cliff Bence's staff is actually coming, wants to meet with us. And so I'm meeting with one of his staffers later today as well, to hear about what we're concerned about, what we're working on, things like that. So yeah, that's the type of work. If I could remember the names of all of the folks that I talked to.
Yes.
Ask me in 10 minutes.
So yeah, I want to share that the work is already generating dividends for our region, for our customers, and we want those conversations to continue. We want legislators to trust us as a resource, which is also why we work so hard on how we frame our message and how we frame our arguments, and why we continue to share the facts.
Good.
And here we go. I love this chart. It makes me feel so good every time I see it. So we are one of the least cost providers in the state. We are the lowest in the gorge. We are very strategic in how we invest in capital work. We focus on reliability, safety, and of course, cost. We also, in our coming soon, I hope, our facilities with, I mentioned our head count has doubled. We have literally, I'm not talking abstractly, we have literally outgrown the building. I am a member of the executive team. I gave up my office in 2021 when we first ran out of offices because somebody else needed it more than I do. We have a large number of what we call hybrid jobs. Post-pandemic, Roger, looked at how the organization functioned during the pandemic and said, you guys all got the work done. You don't have to come back to the office, except for when there's a reason to come back to the office. Whether it's for meetings, for projects. But again, that's also, I think, the only way we could continue to function. If we were to have everybody come back in, we would not have a place for everybody to work. And so we are looking for land. We had a study done by a company called CBS, Collaborative Building Solutions. All they do is facilities planning and facilities construction for public power. And they helped us figure out what we need. We knew we needed a bigger warehouse. We knew we needed a bigger yard. And obviously with our IGA with QLife, that has an impact as well with the broadband work. So we wanted to share. We look at reliability, we look at safety, and we look at cost and how best to spread that work out. From a reliability perspective, one of the things I'll share that we started working on right after I came on board was, and now it is too early and I haven't had enough coffee, making sure that we have multiple accesses for the power. So if the power goes off on the west side, we can redirect through other resources and get it there in a different way while we fix whatever is broken. In some areas, the big storm, we were able to at least get power back on in some areas by redirecting while we worked on what was actually broken. And always we want to maintain those competitive rates. So if you look down at the green bar at the bottom there, we are the second lowest on this chart. The blue, if anybody cannot read that, is the Oregon average. The red is the US average. And at the very, very top there's that PGE who, wants to increase data center rates, but not really reduce residential rates. That's Portland General Electric at the top of that list.
Wow. And I did a screen capture on this one. I'm looking to click at that PUD and having no small interest in that one myself.
I'm happy to send you the slides, anybody that wants them. And there we go. That's where we are one of the lowest cost providers in the gorge. Getting to the end, this is the last slide with the pictures on it. This really is our message. We are from the community. We are for the community. Every decision we make has to do with, we look at the impact on the community. And these are just some of those activities. Some of these are the activities everybody loves. Obviously, nobody loves the wildfires. We've gotten pretty good at it. The reaction, the response, the planning. We recently rolled out a brand new emergency response plan and did tabletop training. The first time we had to implement it, the ICS, Incident Command Structure, was the big storm here. What was that, last week, the week before? I did not have to become a part of that other than staying informed. And what I would like to share is your team did a phenomenal job. The new program, the new plan, the new structure, it worked. Not only did it work for getting the power back on, it worked for tracking activities, for tracking costs. I could go into we create a Teams channel when one of these happens. And so that everything goes in that channel, whether they're filling out a form, whether they're just documenting, hey, the incident command is changing out to get some sleep. So Ed's leaving to go home and go to bed, and Jeff is coming in and he's taking over incident command. I knew what was going on, and I was nowhere near the event. And it really helped with our response time, with our planning, with making sure that we were focused where we needed to be focused in the moment. So yeah, I have to share with you, your team at Northern Wasco County, the linemen, the engineers, the customer service, finance, power purchasing. You've got some really great people on your side out there.
Fantastic.
Any other questions?
We do have a question from Rob Garrett.
Yes, sir.
There we go. My mic wouldn't come on. More a comment on that last slide you had on the top right side. That's the Mid-Columbia Senior Center's flag. Our flag was stolen so many times that we had to wire it to the top of the pole. The only way we can change it out when it deteriorates is to invite the PUD crew over to help us. And they've done that. We do it at least once a year as the flag gets, torn. We're really getting close to probably the fall. We'll do it again. And they come out and we take pictures. I think I took that picture, believe it or not. And we make a vent out of it, and we fold up the old flag and present it to the Boy Scouts for proper, destruction. And the other thing is our parking lot lights. If you drive by our parking lot at night, it's a football field out there, and that's a lot to do with the PUD grant that we received that you talked about earlier. So thank you, PUD.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's before I forget. I think that's Tucker in the bucket. He's probably the youngest foreman in the state, if not the region.
On that same note, when you see the banners downtown on 2nd Street talking about different community events, the PUD puts those up. You've got the schedule, and you organize those things, and that's another note of appreciation for what you do. Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
Oh, a couple of questions here. One is your thoughts about the proposed underwater cable hauling from Big Eddy to probably a whole bunch of new data storage centers in Hillsborough. And the other one would be, you mentioned the power purchasing, and I'm assuming you don't buy everything from the Bonneville because you wouldn't need a purchasing person to do that. So I'm assuming where are the other places that you get your sources?
Okay. Well, let's start with the first one, the cable. That's a big list. And it's not going to happen anytime soon, and it is not going to happen painlessly. The reason I say this is I have not seen a project, a energy related project proposed in the 10 years I've been in the industry that did not end up in, we'll say thoroughly debated. Somebody's going to come up with a reason why this is bad for the environment or bad for something, and it will drag out. There will be studies. Even once everything is approved, if it all gets approved, that is still a very heavy lift from a construction perspective. If it's going to happen, I hope it happens in my lifetime so that I can actually see how it works. Sorry, Roger. Power purchasing. So we go out to market. We do requests, RFPs, like we do for any kind of purchasing. If we want to go buy a truck, we do an RFP. And so it goes out to market. We work with the customer. In this case, obviously, it's Google. It's our large loads because that's why we're out in the non-federal market on what they want out of that. We have multiple times gone out to market trying to find 24/7, 365 renewable power for our customer. And they recognize that right now that's a unicorn. But we do find ways to continue to help them build their for lack of a better term, green energy portfolio. You may hopefully saw the announcement, what was that, about a year ago, about the Juniper 2 wind power agreement. We helped with that. So whoever has it, I mean, we might go out to we may go out to purchase from Morgan Stanley, from whatever their resources are. Maybe it's BP, maybe it's Shell. We have a very large portfolio right now. It's reached the point that we now receive regular, I know there's a different financial term, but basically credit reports, credit worthiness, business worthiness reports on all of those that we do business in the non-federal, because they may have the lowest price, but they may not be the right people that we want to do business with. So it's not just obviously you folks, even our larger customers, they get that attention because we have a reputation. And honestly, paying attention to that helps us protect you.
As a quick follow-up, get a rough idea of what percentage of your total power package picture comes from BPA.
Oh, it's on our website. I can go look it up.
We have a question from Scott Randall.
Yes, Scott, go ahead and ask while I get there.
Oh, thank you, Cyndi. I'm just curious, how much of your assets are, I mean, I assume most of your assets are transmission lines, utility poles, and the equipment to maintain it. Do you have generating capacity at all? Do you have the small plant that's over at the Dalles Dam?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So we own and operate generation at the Dalles Dam. We co-own with Quickitat, but we operate generation out at McNary Dam in Umatilla.
Okay, but I guess the majority of your assets though is that, like I say, transmission lines, utility poles, that type of thing, or is it?
Yeah, those would be our assets. We actually. My understanding is we actually only own one transmission line. It's all the massive majority is distribution and substations.
Okay.
Let's see how long it takes this to pop up. This is another fun fact. I think when I came on board, 80% of our power needs were fulfilled by Bonneville 10 years ago, and now it's less than 50 now. Come on, why is that not loading? Smartsheet is being difficult. If this does not come up, if you go to our website, over and about, there's a where we get our power. I'm not sure why Smartsheet's not loading. It could be my own. It could be systems. It could be just broadband capacity right now. Liz, we got to get busy.
It might be the old Zoom interface with videos.
Yes,
maybe something like that. Eileen, you have a question.
Yeah, you said you were looking for new land. Are you looking to relocate, or are you looking for land for some of the things you mentioned, such as storage, et cetera, et cetera?
We are looking for 18 to 20 acres we need a green build. When I mentioned CBS came in and it did a study, they looked at the land that we have, both where we are currently located, as well as I think we have 2 acres across the street we currently use to store things. That's not enough land to build what we need. And so, yeah, we're looking for 18 to 20 acre for green build, fresh build. Let's see here. So plants. So Bonneville Tier 1 power right here in the middle, if anybody can see this, that's that preference power. There is also a Tier 2 with a little bit better pricing than market that we could purchase from, but it's all for our large loads and it really doesn't work. So that's why we go out for non-federal. So here we are, 27% of our power needs we can get from Bonneville. 69% non-federal power. That's when I talked about going out to market. And 4% of what we use is our own generation.
Cindy, on transmission, how much, if any, do you import from east of the Rockies?
I couldn't tell you. And you know, that's one of the interesting things too when you hear people talk about we're all solar, we're all wind. You may be purchasing all solar and all wind, but you don't know where the electrons are actually coming from.
Yeah.
When they land at your light switch. I'm sure some of it is. I couldn't tell you how much.
We're winding down to the hour. Other questions? Jacob.
Yeah, I may have missed it, but so with this, it's showing that your residential load is about 9% and the commercial load's about 6%. So that's about 15%, but you're buying from BPA Tier 1 27%. So when our commercial or residential load grows, you know, small over the next couple of years or few years, is that growth going to be Tier 1 power, or is that going to be non-federal as that grows?
Residential and commercial, the 9 and the 6. I can tell you, as long as current leadership is in leadership, those customers will get the Tier 1 power until it runs out.
And what's the Tier 1 power price? Is it a little over 3 cents a kW?
That sounds close, but I couldn't confirm it.
Just one other quickie. You mentioned earlier, but 3 people who are stepping down, retiring this year.
Yes.
You say executive director?
Executive assistant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kathy McBride is retiring this year.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Kurt Conger is retiring this year.
Yeah.
And then Mark is Mark. Mark worked for eWeb, and then he worked for Central Lincoln, and then he retired, and then we convinced him to come work for us for a while when Justin left us and went to Wasco Electric. So he is retiring.
Okay.
Roger,
thank you for sharing
thank you for asking that question. I heard that and I thought for a second, Roger's retiring?
No. Roger Klein's not ready to retire. He would like to be, but he's not.
That just seems like yesterday when he came on board. Other questions? I want to give Tonya Brumley time from Northwest Natural. Tonya, any updates from Northwest Natural? And if not,
nope, good. Thanks.
Oh, go ahead, Tonya.
Nope, all's good. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Tonya. Other questions before we wrap up? This has been a fascinating presentation. Really
Thank you
appreciate
for all the amazing questions.
Yeah.
And again, I'd love to sit down over coffee and talk about power. I never thought I would. It certainly wasn't when I was growing up. Working at a power company wasn't really on the list. I will never leave public power. I will retire from public power. That's how much I love it.
And if I could do one more plug, I forgot to mention. So the consumer-owned utilities, so the PUDs, the co-ops, have actually started a public education campaign. I think we're calling ourselves Oregonians for, let me get it right. Oregonians for Affordable Hydropower. I'll dump the link in there, but you might start seeing ads in your social media or on newspapers that you read online, and essentially brings you to some information about how the litigation involving the Snake River and Columbia River dams will impact your power or your rates. And so encourage you all to share the link, or if you see an ad, let us know. We would love to see where they're popping up. And yeah, so just a quick plug that is an education campaign we're currently running with other COUs in the area.
Very good. Thank you, Jennifer. You know, the conversation today raises a couple of, we talked about it briefly, but I'm thinking of reaching out and scheduling these for community affairs. The Cascadia transmission, the in-river cable that they're talking about, and also the pump storage project. Let's see where we are with both of those. Let's see if we can schedule those for presentations. Guests this morning, Cyndi Gentry, Jennifer Sulcer from Northern Wasco County People's Utility District. I always say public, but it's People's Utility District. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for a fantastic conversation this morning. Appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of the week, the weekend, and we will see you next week at Community.
Thank you for having us.